Welcome to week 3 of the A4 Accelerated Collaboration Experience. In this week, we're going to do a project deconstruction. That means we're going to look at your client project and take it apart in order to know what's the best way to get the best outcomes from it. So let's have a look at how that works. We'll be using the Miro tool, which is a collaboration board, to do that. What we're looking at here is a six-stage process. In this video, we'll be just talking about project deconstruction, which is the first 4 steps, and then in the next week, in week 4, we'll cover project reconstruction. So let's take a closer look at what this means. In the first 4 steps, when you're deconstructing a project, you really need to start with what are we trying to achieve as future outcomes? How are we going to take a step forward? How would we describe the future state that we're going to be dealing with? And how does that help to produce the benefits and value that we want to be? So each person put sticky notes together, put one idea per note, they add them all up. And then what you do is you sort all of these into themes. And it might be people, process and technology, money, or it could be intangible value. All of these characteristics of the future state. Once we've done that, we come back over and we look at, but what is the current state? Where are we now? And you repeat the process, but you're describing what you've actually got in place right now. So you have one characteristic of the current state per sticky note. You put all of the ideas up, and everyone is doing this all at once. When you look at the huge number there, you say, well, okay, now let's sort them out. And you sort them into themes. What are the kinds of descriptors that cluster together? Because they're things that you can build actions and projects around. But before you start analyzing the gap between the current state and the future desired state, you've also got to think about the risks. There's all sorts of things that could go wrong. You haven't decided what you're going to do yet. You just described where are we now and where do we want to be. But what you want to be able to do is then look at what are these risks? What could go wrong? Again, the same process, one risk per note, gather up all of the risks and cluster them together so that you can put together a risk mitigation program. So now you've got where you want to be, where you are now, what the risks are. You can then start to say, well, what's the gap analysis? What's the difference between where we want to be and where we are? So this is step 4. What we want to do is to describe actions that can be done to close the gaps, but also mitigate the risk. So always put your statements around actions in this form: a verb or an action word, an adjective or a describing word, a noun, the thing that you're going to act on, a naming word, and link it to an outcome. So for example, write new procedure, verb, descriptor, noun. For what purpose? To clarify the build. Or another example would be write, that's a verb, that's an action. A new, that's a descriptor. Procedure, that's the thing that you're doing it to. For what purpose? To clarify the build. So if you describe all of the actions you need to take in this format, you have a very good chance of then constructing how you can move from your current state to your future state. And we'll talk about that in the next video. Thank you.